What's up you guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. So as you can tell by the title of the video, today we're going to be talking about the long-awaited Reebok Rich Froning RF-1. So as I'm sure most of you know, this is a collaboration with Reebok and 4 times fittest man on earth, Rich Froning. They've been working on this shoe for, I guess, years and years and years, and it was supposed to come out last year, in the beginning of the year. Then it was supposed to come out last year at the end of the year. It never happened because they were doing a lot of tweaking on the shoe. So now it is finally out, and I picked it up like right when it came out. I paid for this with my own money. Reebok isn't sponsoring this video or anything like that. I just, I think Rich Froning is a cool guy, and I like CrossFit shoes. I'm kind of weird like that. So I wanted to test this out. So I've done tons of workouts in this shoe. So I wanted to give you my first impressions and then thoughts about, how good of an actual CrossFit shoe it is. So the first impressions that most people had when they saw this shoe was announced and they saw the pictures of it is they said that this was the Reebok dad shoe. So people were saying they did not like how it looked. They said it looked ugly, and obviously everybody's gonna be different with their opinion. I kind of agreed with it, but still, for me, being a fanboy, I was like, I'm getting them regardless. I don't care if people think that they're ugly, but I'm definitely glad that I picked them up. But what I like about Rich Froning, and what I'm assuming he did, and from what I've read, is that he obviously values function over form. So he values what the shoe can do a lot more than how the shoe looks. And from what I've seen and what I've done, the workouts I've done in this shoe, I think that's very true. It seems like every part of the shoe was made for a specific reason, and every part of the shoe serves a specific purpose. If I were to say my favorite looking CrossFit shoes, this probably would not be on the top of the list, but again, everyone has their own opinion on that. So the first thing that I noticed when I took the shoe out of the box is that, how most people were calling it a dad shoe? I think that's because everything seems to be almost overbuilt on this shoe. So the padding around the collar right here is very, very thick, thicker than I think any other CrossFit shoe I've ever used. It's very thick, so it's really, really comfortable. And then obviously the sole right here on the bottom and even coming around here, that's a lot thicker than you normally see on CrossFit shoes. Again, I'm assuming that's obviously meant for rope climbs. They are pretty good for rope climbs. I did a few in them. So everything is overbuilt. The tongue is even a little bit thicker than most CrossFit shoes. So I would say that this is probably going to be a very durable shoe, which for CrossFit, that is obviously very important. And then there are actually tons of little Rich Froning Easter eggs. There is his logo right here on the sole. There's also his logo right there. And then also on right here on the sole, it says Galatians 6:14, which is obviously the verse that he has tattooed on him. And then inside is actually the Rich Froning logo as well. So there's tons of little Rich Froning Easter eggs on the shoe. And then the other thing I noticed, and I think my favorite part of the shoe when I grabbed the shoe out of the box, is this right here. So this is a little elastic band that is under the laces that makes it so when the shoe is completely untied, it is still staying tight on your foot. Obviously, it's not super tight, but it stays tight enough to where the shoe doesn't fall off. So I've actually been doing a lot of my bodybuilding workouts in this, and when I do those workouts, I don't normally have my shoes super tight because I'm not doing any running or jumping or anything like that. And these shoes are actually really awesome for that because I can leave them untied and I can keep them, my feet super comfortable. I don't need to tie my shoes at all. So that is a really, really cool addition to this shoe, and I think that I could see other companies or even Reebok putting this on other shoes because it really just makes sense. A lot of CrossFitters like to not tie their shoes, and this makes it so your shoes aren't falling off. So I really, really like that addition. And then the last little first impression that I noticed that I feel like you can't not mention is the bottom of the shoe. The sole has these huge grooves on them, and I honestly was surprised because, when you're looking at a CrossFit shoe, you want something that's going to be very stable when you're doing your lifts, and when you see that, you just automatically feel like that's probably not the most stable thing. But I can honestly say with using the shoe, you don't even notice that there's grooves there. It feels like just a flat surface, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference. I'll say it's actually kind of nice if you say you're running, even if you're running on dirt and stuff like that. This is going to hold on to things a lot better than something that wouldn't have these ridges. So I was kind of worried about them, but since using them, I don't notice any super huge imbalances because of them. So let's move on to the actual performance of the shoe during my workouts. So first thing that we will talk about is lifting, and I can say that these are probably some of the most stable lifting shoes I've used, up there with the Metcon 4s. Those are probably the most stable because they're terrible to run in, but they're very good to lift in. I would say that these are really up there with the Metcon 4s. Now, the one thing that's important to note is that these are pretty wide, and I have a wide foot, so I like that. But what I noticed was even when I tied these all the way tight as I could get them, my forefoot right up here by my toes was still pretty loose. I could wiggle my toes. Now for me, that was nice because I like, when I'm lifting, I like to be able to kind of, you know, splay my toes out and feel more stable. Some people might not like that. Some people might want their shoe to be very tight. These, they just do not get super tight right up here. And I think even with running, I liked that they didn't get tight, but it was an interesting feeling because usually when you lace up your shoe, it gets tight everywhere. You feel like your foot's kind of, I don't want to say cramped, but it is very secure in there. This, it feels secure around the ankle, especially with all this padding, but down here by the toes, it's definitely, there's a little bit more wiggle room. Now, when it comes to running, the shoes are actually pretty good. If I were to compare them to my favorite CrossFit shoe ever, which is the Reebok Nano 8, they're just under those for running. Now, these are over those, these are better than those, I would say, for just general lifting, but if you're gonna be doing running, the Nano 8s are a little bit better. I feel like the front of them, it bends a little bit more. These are a little bit more stiff in the front, but where this does take the cake over the Nano 8s is that this mesh right here on the front, it's actually really nice. When you're running, you can feel that wind like coming into your shoe and cooling your foot down. With the Nano 8s, they are not the most breathable shoe in the world. So these are definitely 100% more breathable than really any other CrossFit shoe, the Nano 8s, the Metcon 4s, anything that you would compare them to. These are definitely a lot more breathable than those shoes were. So just general fitness or CrossFit WODs or, you know, your cross training that you're gonna be doing, these seem to do really well. All the workouts that I did, they worked well for everything, for rope climbs, for toes to bar, for burpees, for, you know, using them on the rower, which doesn't really matter what shoes you're wearing for that, but they worked really well for all of that. The one thing that I'm kind of worried about is that this crease right here, so as you can see, when you do that, these creases right here where this like really breathable material kind of meets this more hard plasticky material, I don't know exactly what they're called, I'm worried about, one, creases are definitely gonna happen, but I'm worried about maybe holes forming because of how just sharp that, you know, that crease is right there. So I obviously we'll have to see in the coming months, but that is definitely something that I'm worried about. Another thing that I definitely did notice when I was doing a workout that had like 100 burpees over the bar, right here in the, this side of my foot, it just started to get a little crampy. I don't know if that was just me. I'm not sure if that was the shoe, but that's definitely something that I noticed. So that was obviously not the best feeling in the world. And the final thing I want to talk about is just, is it worth it, right? Is it worth getting this over a Nano 8? If you don't have a Nano 8 yet, I would say you should get that before you got this shoe. I still think that that is the superior CrossFit shoe. Anything that you're gonna do, that shoe is going to do great in. If you already have a couple Nano 8s and you just want something, you know, you like Rich Froning, you want, you know, to collect shoes or you just want something different than the Nano, then I would say you should get this. I mean, it is $150. I don't know how, but the day that it went on sale, I was able to find a 40% off code, so I got mine for 40% off. I'm not sure if you can find that still, but $150 is pretty steep for a pair of training shoes, especially because you can find the Nano 8s on sale for like $50, $60 easily pretty much all the time now. So if you don't have any Nano 8s and you would thinking about maybe picking this up instead of those, I mean, if you really like these, then obviously it's your money, do whatever you want. But if you don't have Nano 8s, I would say get those before this. I still think that these are right under the Nano 8s, above the Metcon 4s, and so that's just, you know, what I think about them. But there you guys go. That is my review of the Froning RF-1s. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, leave them down in the comments. I'll try to get to as many people as I can. Yeah, so if you have these, let me know what you think. If I'm wrong about anything or, you know, whatever. I would love to hear from you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.